a friendly hello to my viewers and especially to my dear 104 subscribers. At least there are so many by the time I record this. We got to part 8 of my big marble run animation, the circular lifter. To be honest, I don't get an idea for another name. First of all, I show the finished thing from all 4 sides. Here from the front, and from the left side, and from the right side, and from the back, where you can see the whole drive construction. And I'm going to tell you about this drive construction, not only but mainly, in the next few minutes, because it has become quite complex. Also, it would have been much easier. I will go into that a little later. And now let's get down to the details. First, let's eliminate everything that blocks our view until only the floor, the foundation and the feeder basin remain, and put the view a little closer so that we can see the whole thing properly. From the feeder basin, it goes into the first disc, and above and also offset to the rear is the next disc, but with a larger diameter. Between the discs there is a small connecting piece with a track for the marbles. And every disc needs an axle that transfers the rotary movement to them and a little bit of support structure, which later sits on a truss frame so that the whole thing doesn't hang freely in the air. The last steps are repeated a few times until a certain height is reached. That was the first line. Let's call it line 1. And now let's turn the view to the other side. Here it works almost the same, only the discs are in reverse order, and this line 2 is offset to the rear, so that the discs do not collide. Let's take a closer look at the axles of the discs. The discs and their corresponding axles are slightly inclined, but the drive axles are exactly horizontal. So we connect them with an universal joint. For now, we have something where we can put a drive from the rear side of the whole part. Because there are different directions of rotation and also different speeds, the 2 lowest axles are pulled out further. Each of these 2 axles are driven in opposite directions, and from there transmits to the axles above, to the corresponding axles rotating in the same direction. And this applies to both lines. First, a support structure, so that it doesn't just fly in the air. We start with line 2. And because the 2 lines are offset to the rear, the support structure is also offset to the rear, so let's turn the view over again. And here comes the support structure for line 1. Here you can see again how the 2 lines are offset to the rear to each other. But now gears are needed, and because they can't just hang in the air, there are separate axle bearings in which the axles of the gears are mounted. Let's take the axle bearings for line 1 as well, and then assemble the gears for one direction of rotation, so that the drive chain, which is about to come, also spans every gear that is on an axle in a proper way. That means not just touching a few teeth on the gear. That is what the other gears are for. As a result, a proper guidance of the drive chain can be achieved. And for this direction of rotation, we tension a drive chain over these gears. By the way, as far as the different speeds of the axis are concerned, this is simply resolved by the size of the gears itself, because I calculated the diameter of the gears in a way so that the same speed of the drive chain fits exactly everywhere. Incidentally, the difference in the rotational speed is exactly 1/3, so that all diameters also differ by exactly 1/3. And this results in the same speed for the drive chain on the pitch circle diameter of the gear wheels. This means that the first half of the discs on line 1 is now equipped with a drive. For the other half of line 1, we now also assemble the gears and the drive chain, and thus line 1 would be fully powered. And here you can see how the two different directions of rotation are separated from each other, and each direction has its own drive, which is taken over by the two extended axles below. Now we transfer the two different directions of rotation into a joint direction of rotation. To do this, the drive chain is simply passed once from the left and once from the right over the respective gears. But let's first assemble the gears ourselves. In addition, a few pulleys, so that the drive chain is properly attached. And now the drive chain itself for it. Now only the bottom gear also needs its own axles, because this is where the main drive engages. And another construction around it, so that it doesn't hanging around freely in the air. The construction for the bottom gear will also come soon. It works the same way with line 2, only the construction looks a bit different there, because the heights of the axles are different from line 1. First the axle bearings, then the gears and the drive chain, now at the same time for both directions of rotation, and then the transmission from the two main axles in one direction of rotation, including the entire support structure. The entire construction of line 2, including all gears, discs, drive chains, support structures, is now simply copied 2 more times. And the same goes for line 1, including all of its parts, it's also copied 3 times. There are now 7 individual lines in total. The turning speed is now the same for all of them, only the direction is different. As before, run the drive chain at the bottom gears, once from above and once over it from below. This still requires a couple of pulleys, and the directions are correct. When everything turns, moves and rotates, I really liked it. I enjoy looking at something like that. But it goes on. Again, a support structure comes over the whole thing. As the last part for the drive, connect the main drive shaft and guide it to the front. And that's the entire power drive design. One more note. The whole drive would have been much easier in reality. A single drive chain with a toothless wheel for each main axles and some pulleys, that would have been completely sufficient from a technical view. But I wanted to make it look awkward and complicated, and I did that on purpose. After all, the eyes and the brain should get something to think about. The penultimate thing left is the actual marble lane from above with the jump at the end, including the structural part. And finally, the tube-like collection grid. Regarding the last 2 parts, I would like to say that I'm not yet satisfied with them. I don't like how they look yet. But honestly, so far I have no idea how the 2 parts can be designed, so they have to stay that way, at least for now. And with that, I would actually have gone through all the details. There remains the load test, carried out with 1500 marbles. I'm only showing a few parts from the load test here. I've dedicated a separate video to the entire load test. The link to it can be found at the end of this video and also below in the video description. For now, I will just show some parts of the load test here and then get back to you at the end. So my dear ones, that was part 8 of my big marble run animation. Please give the video a thumbs up if you like it, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more animated marble stuff and some more completely crazy drive constructions. I wish you a nice day or evening or whatever. Bye.